Ba 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 test. Ba ba ba. What is OBS? I guess it's working. Yeah, I'm leaving it in. I'm not even editing this out. That's the life of a developer. You just don't give a crap anymore. This gets hard over time, and you're just like, I don't care. No time for you today. So let's move on. Whether you are animating for film or for games, at some point you're going to have to retopologize an animated model. If you are very new to this, it's fine. Hey, we all aware there's not a lot of content, is there? Everyone says, oh, I'm not going to show you how to retopologize because you can find that anywhere. What? Bruh, no you can't. You have to pay for that. I'm not going to show you either. But I will explain the process, why we do it, and I'll help you understand some things that kind of get lost in the mud because everyone just assumes you know everything when you're first starting out, and that sucks. So the first thing is looking at this model, you're probably wondering what are these lines, and I'll show you that real quick. This is the UV map. So if I change this from object to UV shell, you can see our delightful little map here. Each piece corresponds over here, and that's what those lines are. If you're wondering if this is the absolute correct way to make topology, maybe, maybe not. Personally, I broke each piece up into sections and I test animated all of them to make sure that this was deforming to do what I wanted it to do. And it looks a lot different from where we started. These are completely different models. So what you should not do, unless like you are just testing proportions, like for example this bend in the knee about right here, that was very specific. I wanted a very specific pose that this creature could do. In that case, yes, go ahead and decimate. Take your original model, decimate it down, or use instant mesh. I'll link that below. It's free. It's good for prototyping, like just making sure proportions are good, but you will not use this in any kind of final production. You can't get by with automatic retopology for a serious character. Like you can get by with a rock or tree, that's fine, but you're going to have to do it by hand. Why? Because you need a good edge flow. You need things to deform. You need loops around where bends and arms and legs will be. And God forbid the inside of the mouth. It sucks. So you probably know that much already, so let's get into the more technical things. So let's say you have your original model, you import it, you do the live surface, you snap all the polys to the outside of the surface to get a general shape. It's still not perfect. So what can we do to improve upon this? And that will be reprojecting down. To project the detail from your original high poly model down to your low poly, general, almost perfect model, you'll need to import it. It will overwrite whatever you have selected, and because I'm lazy, I like to just save a new project and import it anyway. We'll fix it later. And here we are. They are quite different. So if I click on this, you can see this is a nightmare and a mess. And if you click on this one, you have our original model that we made in Maya. Meh. Don't want this, don't want that, don't want this, don't want that. Just want this. Here we are. I'm going to project this and nothing will happen. Why? Because you have to have a lot more geometry to be able to capture the original geometry. Otherwise, nothing will happen. If I reproject it now, it'll stay exactly the same. To fix that, we need to get similar to our original poly count, which is about 4 million. So this one, you want to subdivide until you can see these active points going up. You want it to get, oh, there we are. It's okay if you go over it, just make it kind of close enough that it can capture the detail, and the process will take some time. I suggest that you keep your computer really cool during this time and you don't do anything else. Just go get some soda or health food or whatever you're into at the moment and be right back. I'm going to hit project all. I don't want the poly paint, that one little splotch I couldn't find, and we'll be back. And we're back, presumably with cakes and coffee. And here we have, if we press line fill, ta-da! We have 4 million polys with the same topology layout and edge flow as our first subdivision. This one is the one that goes into your game. This is the one that you are baking everything down onto. And that is why we need to do this. So everything at the maximum resolution here, we will be able to bake down because the topology matches, which is pretty sweet. However, there are other big benefits to doing this. For example, when you're sculpting, you might run into areas where you just have a problem with the mesh, and no matter how much you smooth it and work on it, you just can't fix it. Like this case, the geometry just completely inverted. It tends to happen around lips or edge flows where the face is just bad. Some people just retopologize that one area or re-import it or just do the head separate. You can try Z-remesher, but it will get rid of details that you already have modeled and just destroy them. In my case, I like to leave them alone. If I can, I'll just make the anatomy correct and then come back and do it later because it is so much easier to fix in your final model. I do things the weird and sluggish way. So for example, this chest here, everything you do to the top will affect the bottom. So if you want to fix this, you can just smooth right over it, problem fixed. And since you have the same topology on the top as you do on the bottom, that means you can create breeds. Like if you're working on a creature and you want a whole bunch of different types of breed, or for breeding simulator, just variety, anything that you do to it, or resculpt it, or shape it, or change dimensions, inflate is a really good tool for this. It will affect the first subdivision, and you don't have to go back and retopologize it. And on top of that, it gets even better. You can add blend shapes. Like example to the face, if you want to say this is a human or any kind of player character, you can make a scale by making a blend shape. And the scale will be in unity. So what I mean is 0 is your start, and then 1 is wherever you move it to. So in Unity, this won't be a keyframed animation, it'll just be a blend shape with a slider. So you can have the player affect the value of the slider back and forth, and they can customize their character. And on a bonus, the blend shapes can be blended together. So if you already have something affecting the eyes for expressions or blinking or the mouth for whatever reason, the blend shapes for user customization will just work with them. You can blend them together, you can use more than one at the same time. And because you already have the bones and the weights set up to the body, as long as the bodies are somewhat similar, like if I change this to inflate and like try giving it muscles, this will easily be bound to the same bones, the same weights, because the topology is the same. You can turn this into a different gender, you can change the breeds, the topology, all the animations will go across all of the characters. And that is why we retopologize. And that is the process of why you take it to an outside program and customize the topology to actually work with the animations. I would suggest as you go along and do your topology, make a mock rig, just break it up into parts and test the proportions as you go. Like if you want a very specific bend, do break it up, make sure that everything is deforming the way you want it to, and don't forget, like for example with this leg, if I drag it out, no matter how good your topology is, if something does get way stretched out, you can make a corrective blend shape, just go look that up. So you can pull the leg out and then you want to go back and remodel the inside of the leg. You can have the mesh use blend shapes automatically on the rig to blend between your original pose and the one where the leg is extended without ever having to touch it again.